It is indeed, Byron. I'm very impressed. And the road we're on at the moment, which is Bateleur Road, is actually would be a very good road for a porcupine. However, I think it's a little bit late in the day to be seeing one of those. Something else that's interesting that I have indeed seen on this road, oh, I need to move this branch, is I've seen a serval down here before. I was actually trying to pick it up with my hand. Now, how am I going to do this? I'm very lazy to get out this morning, so I'm going to show you a lazy man's maneuver on how to move a branch very quickly, because I feel like as guides we do this often. Right, take it like this, and then you just drive with it wherever you'd like it to go. Not when the wheel, no. Except when the tires go over the branch. Let me try go this way. Get off. Yeah. I'm just going to drive over it again. Quite a big branch that the elephants have. Now it's stuck underneath the car. I'm not getting out, I refuse. Yeah. And then you just javelin it into the bushes like that. That's probably the easiest way, I think. Depends. If it's a buffalo thorn, then it stays on the middle of the road, because nobody should have to grab that with their bare hands and try and drag it away. You just end up with many thorns in your fingers and much blood and pain. That one was not so bad though. That looked like a piece of gardenia. It was alright. Couple of little spines, but not anything too scary. So we did that. There we go. You see, you could have probably learned something new today. The lazy man's way of moving a branch out of the road. But it works, eh, Craig? What did you think out of 10? It was a good one. 8.5. Thanks, Craig. That's really nice of you. I thought you were going to say it didn't start off great because I kept driving over it with my tires, and then I couldn't move the branch at all because I'm not Wonder Woman and I don't have superpowers and strength, but I can just sort of, well, pull a branch out from underneath the tire. But well, thank you. Craig said the final execution was great. That's very sweet today, Craig. Hey, look at him, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, full of chirps. Right, so there's the giraffe. Oh, that's cool. Remember we saw the giraffe footprints earlier? No, okay, we are far away from where I first saw those giraffe footprints, but we'll just say that I knew exactly where I was going and that I was hot on the heels of these two giraffes the entire time. It was just an illusion that I created to make you feel sad and to make you feel like I'd forgotten that we were searching for giraffe, but I haven't. They are here, and we'll get a better view of them now. It's just the one girl is on the road, and they are so lovely and relaxed first thing this morning. And maybe we'll actually just sit here until she does move off the road, and then we shall reposition. But just from looking very quickly, straight away it looks like two giraffe cows, which is lovely. We've been seeing a lot of giraffe bulls around, but we haven't often been seeing the groups of the girls. And look how lovely that grass is. I think it's one of my favorite things is watching giraffe walk through long grass. They're the only ones that really get away with it. Them and elephants. Oh, there's a whole... My goodness, I can see 4 giraffe now. 5 giraffe. There's a whole lot of them. They're everywhere. The others are all hiding behind the trees. I don't know if you'll get a good shot at the moment, as we've got quite a bit of glare obviously coming in from the sun. But so it looks like 2 adult females from what I see. I did see 2 juveniles, and the 5th one I'm not so certain. Thank you, girl, for walking right in front of the car. That's very kind of you. Just doing a quick loop back. How nice is that? We've gone from taking a break from the bulls to viewing all of the girls. Right, that's perfect. Now they give us an opportunity to also reposition. This is really nice. Now the others are on the other side of the road. Let's try and see if we can figure out exactly how many giraffe are really here. But the giraffe social structure is quite interesting. It's sort of temporary association, so they don't really bond with each other all the time. One day they could be together, the next day there might not be any of them together. They'll be on their own. Let me just see. I'm going to see quickly here who's through here. And so when you do see herds like this, there's no real permanent bonding. Oh, hang on, there's youngsters here. Let's look at these chaps. Hi guys, it's a 2-headed giraffe. Look at that, Craig. When last did you see a 2-headed giraffe? It's been quite some time, I reckon. Here it is, a nice little, another illusion that we planned for you this morning. Thank you, nature. Nature's always quite wonderful. 3 youngsters. Now, I'm trying to work out where the third mom is, because these giraffes aren't particularly old. They're quite young. Now, a happy croc, you're wondering how fast can a giraffe run? I would say at about, not more than about 50 kilometers an hour, I think at a full sprint. You actually would be surprised as to how quick a giraffe goes, even though it looks like at full tilt they're running in slow motion. But they can cover quite a distance with those long legs. Remember, they've got a massive big step, as you can see, with those lovely, gorgeous long legs. So they can actually move at quite a pace. Another one! So we've got 5, 6 giraffe. There's the other adult that I was hoping to see. So 3 moms and their offspring of varying ages. And it's actually quite interesting. So moms have sort of gone off and feeding around, not really paying too much attention to these 3 youngsters over here. And they've formed a little creche. And that's actually quite common. You often see that. It's almost like, it's actually quite funny. Something like this reminds me of mothers and their children at a restaurant, for example. And, you've got the kids playing in the play area, and then moms are having a glass of wine, talking absolute nonsense about everything that is happening in their lives. Maybe not nonsense, it could be serious things too, but I just find that when listen to my mom and her friends, they talk about the most ridiculous things. I thought I was ridiculous, but anyways, maybe that's where I get it from. And they will often form around in groups, and you can, if you're lucky, if you find a big herd of giraffe, whether you know that you might, oh my goodness, let me just do this quickly. Get all those muddled words out. They're out now. So it's really special to see a big herd of giraffe, particularly in this area. So if you come across a herd of 10 or 15, that's really, really special. And then to see all the little ones all gathered around is quite nice too. I think the most I've ever seen was in the Eastern Cape. We saw about 8 or 9 youngsters, but varying from about 2 months to about a couple of years old, and they were all sitting in the long grass. You just saw their heads popping out. I think I might have a photo. It was quite nice. And then there was one adult that was close by that you could see, and then the rest were all feeding in the acacia thickets in the distance. Where are you guys going? I think they're trying to very, very slowly make their way back towards mom. There's another one. I'm trying to figure out actually how old they are, but let me actually have a quick look at this one, this young male that is walking away. He must be about 3 years old, somewhere around there, 3.5 years old. So not particularly big. So once he gets to about 7 years old, he actually starts to mature. But really only fully grown, I would say about 12, between 12 and 15. They don't really live for very long. Let me reposition. Let's get another view here. Giraffe. I think I've swung too late now. There we go. Anyway, looking at me. Look at how lovely that. Now they're all moving off together. Isn't that beautiful? Hi, giraffe. This is beautiful. This is actually, now I know I've got the aerial. I want to reposition because it's so stunning the way that they've just sort of lined up. Let me try this again. Let me try reversing into the other corner. Maybe that'll be better. See, I don't really have any good spots at the moment to really turn around. Let's see if I go in here. Yes, I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. That was very silly of me. But here we go, much better view. We'll watch these guys as they move about. But that was really just a lovely scene, the way that they'd lined up. I actually just had to take a moment to just sit and enjoy that. Now, Stephen, you're wondering... What were you wondering? You were wondering, it's going to come back to me in about 2 seconds. I remember, if it's true, that bulls darken with age. They do indeed. So from about, every animal is so different, and that's what's so wonderful about being out here. I'd say from when they start to mature, so from about 7 years old, you'll definitely notice a color change. A very, very gradual change as they get older. But once they're over about 15 years or so, you'll start to see that beautiful dark patterning. So you're quite correct. And it's just like anything. The older you get, there's certain points in your life where you may be producing more testosterone than others. And when you have those bursts, that definitely does increase and darken the color. Now, we've had a couple of questions come through. I've had it a few times where you guys have asked me, do giraffe smell? And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I've been so close to giraffe before and I've never noticed a smell about them. And then I started reading about it in a lot of books as well. I specifically went to see if I could find anything about it. Now, I don't know if Byron and Tristan, maybe we can ask them if they've ever experienced anything like that, but I've never smelt a giraffe before. You can smell very many animals. We'll have to just reposition again as they keep moving. And other thing we think that's quite interesting is it perhaps if you've gone to a zoo, have you maybe smelt the giraffe there? But they're even in my wildlife books, they talk about giraffe smelling. They don't say what it's from, if it's from a gland, or if it's just the stench, like wild dogs, they're just stinky. And hyenas stink too. Hyenas, they're dirty creatures. They are not clean animals. And so I'm not sure why they smell, and if they do smell, I can't seem to smell it. But where's the next gap? Where is the next gap? Okay, I think I've found a spot. Oh, they're all feeding around on a buffalo thorn, it looks like. Hi, little one. No, don't be doing too much moving around, guys, because if you keep going further and further into this block, we're not going to be able to see you anymore. There we go. Now, Zoe, you're wondering how long do juvenile giraffe stay with their mothers? For a couple of years. It's not a very long time. And I would say from about 3-4 years old, you'll start to see, like we see with elephants, they'll start to see a little bit of separation where that's just, maybe not feeding next to mom anymore, or perhaps hanging away, becoming a little bit more solitary, depending of course on the sex, because the boys tend to be a little bit more solitary than the females. But it depends. I mean, these guys are all different ages here. You can see mom, tall one in the background, and these youngsters, I actually reckon they're not too far off each other. I would say between about 2.5 years, this is the ages of the various ones we have seen this morning, to about 5 or 6 years. But it depends. So a bull will typically start moving off on his own when he gets to about 7, give or take a little bit. Every giraffe is different, and I'm sure it depends on the area. There are many different factors that decide this, and that's something that we're learning more and more, is that it's normally area specific. So vegetation types have a lot to do with how long animals stay with their mothers for. They mean how much milk mom produces, so if they're hanging around for a bit longer, maybe they're suckling for a bit longer. And that's what I love about the bush, and it's something that I hope I get to do. We sort of do this here, but I would love to be a part of a research project at some point in my life and go and follow a specific animal, whether it is a giraffe, a warthog, you name it, but I want to follow them and live their lives for a couple of months and see exactly what these animals get up to, because I think there's so much that they do that we don't even know. But if you follow the same one around all the time, surely you'd get a better idea. But so I'd like to do that. I'd like to spend a bit of time with an animal. A giraffe would be quite nice. Imagine following a specific female and her calf around, or a big giraffe bull, and see where he goes, how far he walks in one night. Oh, I've just heard all the oxpeckers are landing on the giraffe now. They've found their targets. And if anything, I think oxpeckers look the most beautiful on giraffe, with that lovely backdrop. And I've actually got a nice sighting here of one for you. Let me see, Craig, if I go, I can't roll forward. It's this one that's just here, because it's in the sun. Have a look there. There's actually an oxpecker feeding on this young giraffe. No, come back. As I say that, it hops to the other side of the neck. I don't think it'll be there. There it is, just popping up between the ossicones. Now you're on it, Craig, just on the top of its head. There, you can just see it moving around every now and then. The beak popping out. Yes, we're talking about you. Can you please come back on this side where the light is illuminating you very nicely? At least there's a beautiful giraffe, this young boy here. Look at that beautiful pattern. There he is. Look, he's going through the mane. Look at this. That's so funny, just seeing the mane moving around. Now, Button's cockatoo, you've said, is it true that giraffes secrete a substance that covers their coat that prevents fungi from growing on them? I don't think I've ever heard that before. That's really interesting. So unfortunately, I can't give you an accurate answer, but maybe we can pass that on to... Let me go forward again. This is actually very nice, the giraffe in the sun. Perhaps we can pass that question on to Tristan or Byron when we get back to them and see if they've ever heard anything about that before. Otherwise, I shall definitely be looking up an article. I haven't seen that in any of my mammals books, so I'll have to resort to using the interweb and having a look. Oxpecker, are you an adult just yet? I can't see if it hasn't got quite a bright red beak just yet. You see that? Yes, I think you're a little one still. I think this is a juvenile. Hasn't quite got its complete adult look to it just yet. Yes, come walk towards us. This is a very nice giraffe. This giraffe must be a photographer, well, must be a model of some sort, because have you noticed it doesn't stand still for very long, but it also doesn't move around too much, just sort of subtle changes here and there so you get the different shot. Or maybe it's trying to balance. I always wonder about birds on the animals' backs. Do they ever think, I suppose they don't really worry about them. I would sort of walk and say, oh, don't fall off to the bird. That's what it looked like that giraffe was doing, but now I'm just talking absolute nonsense because my imagination runs wild and it's ridiculous. Right, we're going to lose a visual of these giraffe in a moment. Right, we're about to lose, we've got visual of one giraffe, but hopefully he'll hang around. Let's go across. Try and turn in my chair now with all my coats on. Let's go back across to Byron. He's had a little break and I'm sure he's found some more interesting tracks for you to chat about.
I have indeed, Tayla. It's lovely that you got to see that beautiful giraffe and the oxpeckers. Now, from the oxpeckers to another type of bird, and look at that beautiful feather. Now, this feather, I believe, belongs to one of the birds we are looking for. The little quails, or button quail. I think it belongs to the Carican button quail. And we just found a feather along the road. And it's not uncommon to see them occasionally sitting on the edge of the roads, just on the edge of the thicket line, and then they'll often fly off when you get very, very close. So it's difficult to see them. This is a beautiful feather. Let's see if I can put it in my cap somewhere. Does it work, Dave?
Very nice.
Does it look good?
Beautiful.
That's it. Always keeping up with the fashion trends of the world. I wonder, do you think I could be a catwalk model, Dave? I don't think so. I don't think I've got the physique for it. Now it's starting to get nice and it's getting nice and warm, and jackets are coming off. It was a lot cooler this morning, but with the sun rising now, it's really becoming a wonderful temperature. Not too hot yet, which is great. I'm just keeping a close eye on while I'm walking, having a look around. There's so much going on. Hang on. There's some beautiful birds above us. Yes, look at that. Just up in the tree over there. You see them? Ah, one of my favorites. White-crested helmet shrikes. The white-crested helmet shrike. Beautiful. Oh, that's nice. Usually you see them and they fly off quite quickly. So it's wonderful to see them sitting up in this. It's a dead marula that they're sitting in. But it appears as if they're just sunning themselves at the moment. It's really, really great to see them like that. And now they are very gregarious, always in family groups. Now they do something, and I think Tayla touched on it this morning. She was referring to it. It's a type of call that these birds do, the allomimetic calling. And that is social calling. It's when one bird calls, the whole group begin to call, and they'll call together. So these white-crested helmet shrikes do it. Another one that does it quite regularly is the green wood hoopoo. That beautiful hoopoo with the long red beak, the green wood hoopoo, they do it. So there are a number of bird species around that do it. The arrow-marked babblers, and I think that's what Tayla was speaking about this morning. She saw some babblers, and that's why she mentioned that allomimetic calling. And that's that social calling, that group calling, they all do it. So nice to see gregarious birds, or birds that live in groups like this. There are quite a few of them. I was hoping they'd call for us. They've got all... Mary Ann, we do not get hummingbirds here at all, unfortunately. I'd love to see a hummingbird one day, but we do not get hummingbirds here at all. The closest we probably get to a hummingbird, are the little sunbirds. So we get many different species of sunbirds. They are very small. They've got long beaks. A lot of them do feed on nectar from certain plants. And there are a number of sunbirds around. One of the more common ones we get in this area, the white-bellied sunbird. And we do see a lot of them, but no hummingbirds, unfortunately. But also these sunbirds aren't particularly good at hovering like those hummingbirds do, where they hover and drink the nectar from plants or from flowers. The sunbirds don't really do that. They'll just fly around little branches, very quick, agile little birds. So unfortunately, no hummingbirds. Have they all flown off? Yeah, looks like they've all flown off. Our little white-crested helmet shrikes. Some more tracks of animals along the road here, but these are zebra tracks. This is actually a very clear zebra track. Have a look at that. There's the hoof of the zebra, all around there in the back, almost like a triangle at the back of the track. And zebra, it looks like it was a small herd because they're different size tracks here. So this is an adult, and then I see there's one or two smaller little tracks behind. So probably a group of females with some foals following them, heading in that direction. So that's nice. The zebra track. And Cape turtle doves calling in the distance. That speckled pigeon, Buzzman Sparkles, you asked about speckled pigeons. Now, I'm just trying to think now, because we don't really get speckled pigeons here. Now there's they're rock pigeons. Now I'm trying to think of some of the names. I cannot remember the names because they've changed, and the rock pigeon I think became the I'll have to double check some of the pigeon names. I can't remember. I get confused with a few of them, but there are some which appear to be speckled. They've got beautiful white markings on the wings, and the rock pigeon is one of them. We don't get them. I haven't seen rock pigeon yet. The other one that we get, what are those other ones? I'll double check, but I don't know of any speckled pigeons in this area that we've seen. A lot of those pigeons and that you find in the cities and in other parts of South Africa, but the rock pigeons. The other one is a Ramaron pigeon, which is quite nice to see. Beautiful yellow beak, also some speckling on the wings, but I don't think I've ever seen Ramaron in this area. Now that I think about it, it often becomes a blur. Occasionally you see a bird once or twice, but I don't think I've seen Ramaron around here. You do get them in other parts of South Africa though. So those are pigeons which are speckled. Chuck, we do indeed have parrot species in our area, and I will listen out for them because we do get them year round. The brown-headed parrot is one of the species that we see quite regularly in this area. Beautiful, beautiful parrots. They've got this wonderful brown head and green coloration on the wing, and as they fly, they've got a lot of yellow underneath, under the wing and on the chest, or the belly rather. Beautiful yellow, bright yellow, and then the green back of the wings and that. Beautiful birds. So we do get a lot of parrots around, brown-headed parrots. Here's another very prominent path. Have a look at this, everyone. Let's see. Now, I wonder what this could potentially be. Could potentially be elephant that have used this path regularly, perhaps some other animals. Now, while we do walk around and look for different pathways, you will find very big pathways from the larger animals, and usually it's probably elephant or possibly even rhino that have walked through these areas. But the other thing is hippo. However, this I can guarantee you is not a hippo track. And why I say that is because when hippo walk, they do create a large path. But as they walk, they shuffle their feet. So they walk and they shuffle along. So what happens is you get a very large path which forms, but you are able to see bit of a little island straight down the middle of the track because of them shuffling along. So you'll get a very clear wide track, but then you have this little island forming in the middle of the track, and that is a clear indication that it is a hippo track. With elephant and other larger animals, you'll see it's actually one big track. There's no island because the feet kind of cross over each other slightly, so there's no gap, and you'll be able to tell that clearly. So that track is definitely not from hippo, probably larger animals. Okay, now I'm going to continue on. Let's see if we can find some animals to view on foot. But while I do that, let's head back to Tayla, see where she is and what she's up to.
Bumbling at the moment on Central, just driving around, enjoying the fresh air, having chats with Craig. It's a lovely morning out here today, a bit slow on the animals. No, actually, it hasn't been that slow. We've actually had a nice variety. We've had elephants and giraffe and big kudu bull. That was really nice. Always forgot about that big kudu bull. What else have we had, Craig? Has that been it? We had the silhouette of the laughing dove as well. That was quite lovely. And now I don't know what we're going to see next. And hopefully we're going to have some zebra. I'm not racing down that way. I thought that if I'm not chasing after the perfect shot for a sunrise, we don't need to be racing or chasing after wild dogs and things like that. So I just thought we'd do a slow bumble. But we are going to probably take, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go via Vuyatela Dam and then on to Quarantine and that way around, or if we're going to go Mvubu and sort of try and intercept with those zebra going. I mean, they could have turned around and changed direction. They could be standing on the middle of Quarantine now. So we'll have to do a bit of investigating to see where they have gone. But they're jumpy. They looked very, very jumpy this morning, whether it was just because it was dark and they're not so comfortable at night. But then again, we did all those amazing cannon tests, and we did them in the dark. It was full moon. But I wonder, since their encounter with a lion, that hasn't really startled them quite a bit. The lions could have messed up my whole habituation. Can you imagine? I'll be devastated. I wouldn't be too happy with those lions if they've done that. So we'll go and see. Hopefully we'll find the zebra again, and we'll see if they've maybe settled down again around the cars. I hope they have. Elephant dung and elephant tracks everywhere. As you've been seeing with Byron on the walk, there's just evidence of the elephants everywhere. Though we did have a big herd around here yesterday afternoon, and we had on foot, and probably about a couple of 100 meters from here, so not too far. What do you think, Craig? Should we go that way, or should we go on Mvubu Road? We let Craig. Mvubu. Craig says we must go Mvubu, so we shall do what Craig says this morning. just scan in the distance just to see if I can see any stripy animals far away. Doesn't look like it. And Mbubu's a nice road. Mbubu actually doesn't get driven very much anymore. We used to drive it often, very, very often. Right, let's keep going. Let's keep looking for those zebra. I would very much like to see those zebra. I think I need to follow up on them. And then we can also count and see. I wonder if the zebra that did get attacked by the lion, if it was part of that smaller group, the group of 5. And the group of zebra that we saw this morning, just very briefly in the dark, that you also all got a quick glimpse of, what didn't look like a particularly large group, so maybe it's them. But we hopefully will find out in a moment. Oh no, those are my footprints from yesterday. Let's see if our tortoise has moved. Yes, that's what we can do. I remember I was a tortoise rescuer yesterday, and I took the tortoise out of the mud wallow. Very naughty of me, but I don't feel bad about it at all. I'm happy that I did it. Let's see. Where is that mud wallow? Did I go past it already? No, I'm surely I haven't. No, it's up here. So I just want to see if it did make it out alive. And I don't know how long that tortoise had been in there for. It definitely looked like it maybe that morning, perhaps. I also don't know how much mud that it swallowed, so it might just die anyway. It could have had a lot more damage, and me taking it out of the mud could have meant absolutely nothing. But we'll check here. I remember where I left it. This is the mud wallow, the death trap. And that's what mud wallows are. They are indeed death traps. Yay! It's... Oh, no, it's not gone. There's the tortoise. You see it there, Craig? So our dear friend, the tortoise, very, very sadly, even after my best efforts at trying to save it, did not survive. Oops. Oh, that's so sad. Oh no, it's alive! No ways! Why haven't you moved, tortoise? It is indeed, it's still alive. It hasn't moved. So maybe it did suffer a little bit. Maybe it swallowed a bit too much mud. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, tortoise, please make it. Please live. Maybe it lives. Who knows? Very sad, of course, but this is nature. And that is the reality of these massive mud wallows. As fun as what it is for a warthog, an elephant, a buffalo, a rhinoceros, for something small like a tortoise, it can actually be quite devastating and very much sad. Oh no. The question coming. Wild Bill, now this is a good one. This is quite a nice question. You've asked what has been the most exciting sighting that I've had since I've been here at Wild Earth. I've had many. Now, of course, when you ask me questions like this, it's like I haven't seen any animals in the last 7 months that I've been here. Craig, what did we have that was quite cool? We had a sighting, didn't we? The caracal sighting of, I mean, geez, Tayla, come on now. I mean, this is ridiculous. I had that sighting a couple of days ago and I just about forgot about it. Not on purpose, but just because when I get asked questions like this, I can't remember anything. Caracal sighting was unbelievable. That was really spectacular. The secretary bird sighting I had, I wasn't live though, so I don't know if I can count that, but that was amazing too. The lion takedown, if you remember, no, that was on a Nat.Geo rehearsal, so unfortunately we weren't broadcasting live, but I think we did put out a replay of it. That was amazing when the Nkuhumas took down a young buffalo calf. Oh, there's so many. The day that we sat on Halloween, when I painted my face with eyeliner, various animals that we see on the property, down at Vuyatela Dam, where the young lion cubs were, well, for the first time that we'd seen, actually partook in learning how to bring an animal down. That was quite amazing. So that was really cool. There's just been endless sightings that I've had, and I've loved them all. From the small chameleons that we see, we had a double chameleon sighting, 2 chameleons within a meter from each other. That was quite special. all the birds catching things. I don't know. I actually think, you know, at Wild Bill, I think for me, I just love everything about being in the bush. Every sighting that we had. The giraffe sighting we had today was so special because when last did we see a big group of giraffe like that? I think that could be the biggest group of giraffe I've seen since I've been here. So it really is quite special. Every moment out here. You know what we should start doing? We should start picking our highlight from the drive. And we mention every now and then, but I think we must make more of a thing about it. Sort of before the show ends, everybody's saying, I think I'm going to start doing that. Before the show ends, I'm going to tell you what my highlight is and why it was so special to me. When Craig is looking at me through the camera, he does this, he closes his eyes. It's so funny. It looks like he's winking at me all the time. I don't think he's winking at me. Right. I'm not sure where Tristan is at the moment. I think he's probably got himself a bit lost. But anyway, Byron and I are still here. Let's go back across into Bushwalk. And I think Byron's got some interesting news to tell you.
Coming to us, Abby. It's fine. Hey, look at this, everyone. I found the honey badger tracks from last night. Well, we didn't see them here. We saw them further back. But these are the clear honey badger tracks, and I've been walking up and down here, probably looking for food, little insects to feed on. I'm trying to find a clear one to show you the pads. Here you can actually see part of the pad of the honey badger. There we go, around there, and the toes. This one went there, but then they came back again. I just want to see if there's another clear one. There one or two over here. Yeah, this must be the pair of honey badgers we saw last night. Here we go. Here's another track. Yeah, that's them. Here they walked along here. There's the back pad. You can actually see different sections of the back pad on the honey badger, so it makes it easy to identify. The 5 toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes heading that way. So I wonder, I'm not sure, yesterday evening they were possibly, now that I think about it, maybe they were milling around here and then they walked down the road and that's where we bumped into them. We bumped into them just further down that way. So I wonder if they were heading back that way and that's when we bumped into them, and then they ran down the road and then into the bush. So they were probably around this area first, walking up and down looking for food. Isn't that great? Nice to see the honey badger tracks. I was so excited last night to see them. It really was an amazing sighting. Very quick, and it usually is with honey badgers. They'll often run around quite quickly or run away quite quickly. Now, a few of you were saying if I really want to see honey badgers, I just need to go to some of the camps in Kruger, like Skakuza and those places. Some of those camps, the honey badgers go in and they try and raid the dustbins in the evenings looking for food. They're incredibly intelligent animals. So they do smell food and they'll go and try and raid bins looking for food at night. But apparently you can see them there quite easily. So maybe I need to make a trip to the Kruger again and wander through the camps at night, see if I can find some more honey badger. I'm going to a place, or the Kalahari. Now, the Kalahari is part of the Kalahari desert, so it's up northwestern part of South Africa, and I've got a trip with some guests there later this year, and that we're going in winter, in fact, in July. So I'm looking forward to that because over there we also get good honey badger sightings. So maybe we'll see some interesting badgers around there, some interesting animals in that part of South Africa. Now, Lo, you asked what is my favorite bird? I think that's what I heard Megan say. Hello. My favorite bird, I'd have to say, my favorite bird would be the martial eagle. I love the martial eagle. Beautiful, graceful bird. Very, very just regal, such an amazing bird, very powerful. We know the martial eagles, they like to hunt those big monitor lizards. They're so strong, powerful talons. But just this a martial eagle sitting up on a dead tree, really beautiful. That brown head, white chest with those beautiful specks down it. That's probably my favorite. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. The other one that I really do enjoy in this area is the black crown shagra. It's just got a beautiful call. I love hearing it in the bush. Let's see if I can do it for you. Something like that. They've got this very melodious call, and the little shagra, they jump around the bushes, and very, very beautiful call. I love hearing the shagras. But then the owls, the scops owl, I love hearing the scops owl at night. Just a happy sound for me. The pearl-spotted owl. So those little ones, and the fiery-necked nightjar too in the evenings. Those are some of my favorite calls to hear. But I think in terms of favorite bird, I'd have to lean towards the martial eagle. I'm just having a look. I think I see a interesting bird over there. A lesser grey shrike, parked, just perched on top of the little branch, just by the looks of it. Looks like a lesser grey shrike. Let's just double check. Is it a young redback shrike? There it goes. Hopefully you got a screenshot of that, and we'll double check back at camp. We'll make sure that. But it looked like a lesser grey shrike. A lot of grey up on the top. The back was reddish, but it didn't quite look like the redback shrike. A little bit smaller and a very, very prominent rufous back. So we'll just double check that. Maybe it was a redback shrike, just perched on that branch. Didn't get a good look at it. There's monotonous larks still calling all around us. We've had a lovely little walk this morning. Now, we did actually see, can you believe this? We did see some leopard tracks earlier, not too far on the main road or the Philemon's cut line that we were on. However, those tracks were very fresh from this morning, and it looked like it may have been Shadow with her cub. Herbert and I had a good look around, and Herbert seems to think that it was possibly Shadow. And now Herbert has had a lot more experience tracking Shadow in this area, and he says it's very difficult with that particular leopard. And leopards, we know, are generally skittish on foot. If we are tracking them, they often move away quite quickly. But he says it's very difficult to try and follow her. But now I think what may have happened is she moved off into a block south of where we are. And it's very, very thick in there. So even if we did try and walk in, we wouldn't necessarily be able to find out where that leopard went. Leopards can disappear very quickly in thick bush. But it was nice to see the tracks on the road. But maybe later what we'll do is, I know I will be on drive this afternoon. I'm going to come into this area, I think, and have a look around here. Maybe we get some luck and find a leopard. That would be great. And to see Shadow. I've never seen Shadow before. So that could be a lovely little sighting. But we'll see. We'll see. Alright, let us continue. And let's head back to Tayla, see what she's up to, and if she's behaving herself.
We're still on our way to try and find those zebra. I got distracted. But we are en route. We are back en route again. Let's go and see. I'm hoping they haven't crossed out, because the last time they were seen, they were past Sydney's dam towards the Manuleti. Ooh, Drongo dispute. Oh no, now they've flown. Oh, hang on, let me see. There's some Drongos having a fight here. Don't fly away, sit still. There they are in here. I think they're going to fly away now. Yes, no, they've flown. There was about 4 Drongo chasing each other around. Now, Drongos, they must be one of the most intelligent birds we have out here, being able to mimic their own kind as well as other bird species and mammal species is quite impressive, but they are very much terror to elephants. Look at me, I get distracted. They're territorial. That's what I wanted to tell you. They're in there. Let me see if I can go back, Craig, and get a view. Unfortunately, these elephants they're in the bush. You can see how far away we actually are from them. There's a little gap, though. We can view for a little bit. But a nice, lovely big herd of elephants. Different ones from the ones we saw this morning. You can see there's quite a young one there, but not the teeny tiny tot that we did see just munching on some sickle bush. Yes, eat all of the sickle bush, please, all of it. We don't like it. It is makes very, very dense thickets out here in the bush. I actually wish they would eat more of it. You know what they started doing? Oh no, now where is it? I've now completely forgotten the area. I've gone completely blank. Madikwe, I think it was Madikwe if I'm not mistaken. They started covering the sicklebush trees with molasses, which I found to be quite interesting. And the reason why they did that is because, firstly, there was no food during the drought, and you saw it, not even a blade of grass for any of the animals to eat, let alone leaves. But there were lots and lots of sicklebush around. So to encourage the elephants to help with the natural process of, I suppose, getting rid of these huge thickets of sicklebush, the elephants love molasses. They love anything sweet, and they actually started devouring those trees, which I thought was actually very clever. Instead of poisoning them and chopping them down, they did that, and I thought that was great. I don't know if they'd ever do something like that here, though this particular area we don't see the huge pockets of sicklebush. If you go down towards the Sabi River, one part of Lion Sands, their southern sector is very much overpopulated with sicklebush, and it's difficult. You can't drive through there. It's the tree that causes the most punctures out in the bush, and it is a very hardy, tough tree. It's a pity we don't use it more for firewood, though I'm not sure if it actually burns very well, because that's what it would be good for, is indeed firewood. Hey guys, starting to flap their ears, not because they're hot, just the insects are bothering them. You can see the tails are swishing again, so they're starting to wake up, and thankfully, I'm actually a bit nervous to say this, but I have got a guarri branch next to me, a guarri tree next to me, is that the flies have not been too bad today, but maybe that's got a little bit to do with the wind that you can see rustling through all of the leaves. Now, Mary, seeing that we're talking about ears and we're watching that elephant flap away, you were wondering if the Asian elephants have smaller ears than the African elephants. You're spot on, Mary. They do indeed. And one of the theories behind Asian elephants having smaller ears is typically their habitat. So Asian elephants, it's very tropical, a lot of forest, so dense thickets that they're moving around in. And if you think about what an elephant uses its ears for, mainly to cool itself down, and also, of course, as a fly swatter. And when you're walking around and living in forests where it's a little bit cooler, it's not necessary to have as big ears. But out here, it's vitally important, especially if you're somewhere, say, in Namibia, where there's maybe not massive thickets with huge trees like sort of we see out here, not a lot of shade, you're out in the sun most of the day, and the same goes out here, of course. There's no massive valleys that these elephants can really go into. Of course, they can stand under the shade of a knobthorn or a marula tree or any of the other big trees we have out here. But by flapping your ears and cooling the blood down directly with all those veins that are exposed is, I think, the most effective way to cool yourself down. Other than having a mud bath, of course, or having a swim in the dam. That's also a right. But there's not always water around. Now, I really wish that they weren't so far in this thicket. I think if we'd got here about half an hour ago, we would have had these elephants out in the road. But that's just how it is in safari, is some days you've got a great view of the animals, and we had a phenomenal elephant sighting this morning. It was lovely with that tiny little calf. And then, well, other days, especially when the vegetation is so thick, you can't really see too much. Can I please have that question again, Megan? Right. Megan, I'm struggling to copy you a little bit here. I've got quite a bit of static in my ear, so we'll try and get back to that question a little bit later. I want to see if I can get one more view of these elephants. I don't know if we will, though. We've sort of got that female's bottom, and then that's really it. I'll get back to that question. I'll try have another listen. I don't know what's happened with my earpiece. Sometimes you get a little bit of interference and I think that's what's happening right now. No, Craig, I think that's the end of the elephant sighting. It's very, very thick. Anyways, we'll try and find some more. I think there's a whole herd around here. I can hear lots of branches breaking. So who knows what we'll see next. Zebra or elephants, I'm not too certain. But Tristan has finally found his way back to Djuma. Let's go and hear about his adventure.
Well, it has been an adventure indeed this morning, Tayla. We have gone all over the place and really struggled with signal and all kinds of things. Wendy is having a Monday morning blues session. She's not interested in helping us at all. She'll behave herself for the rest of the day. She's very naughty this morning, but it does happen like that. So we'll have to give her maybe a little once-off this morning, and we'll maybe give her some TLC so that she sorts herself up. Cold this morning. But anyway, it's been interesting. I mean, at least we got to see the shadow. I do apologize for anyone who questions. I had absolutely no bird. There we go. Look at that. That's displaying. So it could be that there's a male and female, and they're just displaying to one another, or it could be two males that are in the area, and so one has come to chase the other one. Now I'm going to try and just get around this bush so we don't have all those trees around in the area. Here's the third one. We're about to get another one in. There we go. Isn't that a little bit better? Now we can see them. They are absolutely magnificent birds. I know that they're very common and we see them fairly regularly, but they really are very, very pretty birds, and birds that, you know, no matter how many times you see them, you still end up being sort of mesmerized by their colors and their patterns that they have. They're very vocal as well. You find lilac-breasted rollers tend to make quite a bit of noise. They're often flying around, squawking, and that's the only probably downfall that they have, is that for such a pretty bird, their call is horrendous. They've got this squawking call. It's not very pretty at all. There's no song that they sing. And it probably is the only sort of negative part about them. Oh, look at that displaying. Isn't this amazing? So this is part of the courtship process. This will be a male and a female that are courting one another. This is very, very cool to see. Now it's a little look into the eye. So a couple of you commenting on the fact that they are very beautiful and pretty birds. They are indeed. They're an amazing bird, and one that, like I say, every time you see them you sort of get caught a little bit off guard by the vibrance of them and the colors that they have, and especially in light like we've got this morning. This beautiful morning light that is coming through, and it almost feels very wintry today, and so the light feels a lot softer, and then those colors really come out and you get to see these beautiful blues and turquoises, and then obviously that lilac breast. So really are very pretty birds. And besides, they are very pretty, but they're also ferocious predators. These guys are really, really amazing in that the food items that they can swallow. I've seen them eat massive dung beetles, big centipedes. So even though they're pretty birds, they're not to be messed with. They've got a... Look at that. So now we are doing a dance. This is a dance that will rival Tayla and Eggsy. Buttons Cockatoo, this is number 79 on your bird list. Well, that's a very, very good number. We'll have to try and see if we can start getting you towards the magical 100 mark, but 79 is doing really well, so well done. That's a very good list that you've got going there. I wonder if you have any common birds that you haven't got on your list, or birds that you really want to see. Maybe we can start trying to tick them off for you. Isn't that amazing though? Absolutely beautiful. Like I say, it feels like a typical winter's day. The sky is blue, blue, blue. not a cloud in the sky, and it is quite chilly, so it's almost that summer feel is completely out of the air this morning. But it does make for really nice sightings. The blue in the sky is always, it seems much deeper in the winter months, and like I say, the light tends to be a lot softer, so very pretty. Alright guys, well, I'm going to leave our lilac-breasted rollers to absorb some sunshine and sit and take it all in and warm themselves up. I'm going to probably just carry on and see what else we can find. It's like I say, been a little bit slow this morning after the cheetah. We haven't found too much since then, so we try and see if we can find something else and see if we get lucky with some tracks or maybe even a sighting of something. And while we do that, let's go across to Byron.
Alright, so, well, Tristan, welcome back. We were worried about you for a second. Didn't know where you had gone to, but have a look here. Now, while we're walking, you know, everybody, we always talk about these little creatures we have to be careful of and watch out for. Look at these ticks sitting on the branch here. Wow, those are big ticks. Now, these ticks would be waiting for animals to walk past. Not necessarily us. We do still have to be careful and watch out. But look, there's a whole clump of them. Big. These are large ticks. So they would just be sitting here waiting for animals like maybe kudu or wildebeest, some of the larger antelope. But even impala and that. And if they come past, they'll probably try and grab on. I wonder if even just my presence here, if they'll start moving. Let's see. No, they don't seem too interested in me. But if antelope and that walk past, then I'm sure those ticks would grab on and try and suck on those hosts for quite some time. But those are big ticks. They would get rather large if they do sit on an animal for a particularly long period of time. But it's interesting. We get a lot of these little pepper ticks while we're walking. They'll jump or just walking through the grass. They'll land on your trousers, on your legs, and they get very, very itchy. I'm sure everybody's complained about pepper tick bites. But those ticks, those are a bit bigger. You'll probably feel them, and you'll have to try and get those off quite quickly. Pepper ticks you don't really feel though. We're getting into a bit of a clearing now, so this is quite a nice area to just stop and have a look around, see if there's any sign of wildlife moving through the area. Stanley, I don't know how far ticks can jump. I think, yeah, I really don't know. I've got no clue. I've never seen a tick jump before, so I'm not sure. I don't know. But I think a lot of the time, if you brush past a branch, they literally just, or a grass blade or anything, they basically just come off and sit on your trousers. Hang on, everyone. Dave, I think focus in this area here. I saw a bird, and I think it might have been one of the quails. Just have a look. I'm going to walk around. Let's see if it comes out. Hold on a second. Just look in this grassy section over here. Where's that little quail? Come on. I saw you fly in there. Gone. Oh, they're so elusive, these little quails, and I was hoping to flush one out for you so you could see it. Nothing. Ah, the elusive little quail. Well, let's see what else we can find. I'm hoping one pops out somewhere. For the moment, again, it's just the monotonous larks that I can hear. And beautiful silver cluster leaves around us at the moment, and we speak about certain trees quite often, but just the beautiful color of these trees at the moment, that silver sheen that they've got, especially in the sunlight. Lovely time of the day. There's still a cool breeze blowing at the moment, which is very, very nice, keeping us cool, but it is warm. It's not too cold, not at all, not by any means cold. Wow, this grass is so long at the moment, it's very difficult to see anything lying in it, or even walking through the thick bush. So we've got to be very, very alert. While we're walking around, we're constantly looking at the ground for tracks of animals like buffalo especially, because if they are lying down in this long grass, you've got to be very careful. You might not necessarily see them until the last minute. So we've got to look out and listen out. Maybe we hear oxpeckers, animals or little birds like that might alert us to these large animals being in the area. So we do have to be careful when walking this time of year when the bush is so thick. You can't be blasé. You've got to have a good look around. Alright, why don't we head back to Tristan quickly, see whereabout he is and if he's found any more beautiful birds to show you.
I haven't found a beautiful bird, but I have found Byron, the main man, walking down the road. Look at him go. Isn't he a fine specimen of the humankind? See him. Isn't he amazing? Look at that. And there's the realization. Oh, and a bit of dancing. Wonderful dancer he is. Looks like our lilac-breasted rollers, doesn't he? So our intrepid bushwalk team are slowly making their way home. I think they've been looking at tracks, and isn't that a fine sight? We've got David, Dangerous Dave on the right, Herbie. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Tristan. Hello, Tristan.
Hello, guys. How are you guys doing?
Wium.
How are you guys doing? Have you had a long walk this morning, Byron? Has it been very nice? Eh? Byron's not very talkative this morning. I'm not sure why. You're not being very talkative to us. Hello, Dave. How are you, bud?
I've been speaking to the viewers. I don't want to speak to you.
Why don't you want to speak to me?
Okay, I'll speak to you. I think you should go and have a look around Philemon's, Rebecca's, and that block to the east. South and east of Philemon's. We had tracks of what looks like shadow, perhaps, around there. So drive around there.
I will.
And have a look. And
I'll see. Maybe we get lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Aubrey is there.
and find a leopard.
That would be nice. But hopefully we'll have signal there too.
Yes, I think Wium's turned something off at the back here.
All right, guys. We'll
I know the story. I know the story. Okay.
From where I've cycled there.
Yeah.
She from Bateleur.
Enjoy your morning. Enjoy this nice stroll in the sunshine. So I tell you what, if you're going to be doing something this morning, a bushwalk is a nice thing to be doing because the temperature is perfect for walk. On the car, there's this sort of cold breeze that is blowing, but if you're on walk, it's nice just to be ambling in the sunshine, and walking through the wilderness of Africa is a very special experience. So I'm quite jealous of them. I suppose, well, I don't have to be too jealous because I'm going to be walking this afternoon, so that's not a problem. But hopefully it would be nice if we found some sort of sign of shadow. Be a very nice surprise. But knowing her, she's going to be in some thick, deep bush, and this area, the grass is incredibly long. It's really, really going to be very difficult to find any sign of her in this grass unless we manage to just locate her on the road, which would also be somewhat of a surprise given our luck this morning so far. Everything seems to have just been going away from us. We've seen male lion tracks going off our property. We had Tundi and Cub cross in front of us seconds before we got there. The two male cheetah crossed north. So it's been one of those mornings, which is the way it goes. Tomorrow, who knows, or this afternoon, everything comes the other way and we get spoilt, and we have actually been spoilt the last 2 days anyway, so we'll be alright. Now, talking about leopards, and last night we were talking about whether or not leopard will get a heartworm. So we were talking about Mvula and whether or not he gets heartworms. Well, most wild animals do get heartworms, and so I was going to consult with a friend of mine who is a vet, and we were going to go through the whole story about whether there's a specific type of heartworm for a leopard. So he said to me that he's not sure if there's a specific type that is only in leopards or only in big cats, but most definitely all big cats do have them, so they do get them, and it is prevalent. And then Betty, you sent me a very long, quite in-depth question about FIP. Now, FIP is a disease in cats that occurs with domestic cats, and you were wondering if it does also come sort of transfer into wild cats. So it does. It is been found in wild big cats. The problem with it is that it's generally found at post-mortem. So because it's very difficult to see the symptoms, they generally can't pick it up before the animal, and so they only really find it when the animal has died, and they do the post-mortem on it. But they said that it's, in all likelihood, there's no ways that it can be transferred by domestic cats to the wild cat, because it has to be by coming into contact with the feces of another animal. So in other words, a domestic cat would have to defecate here, and that lion or leopard would have to come along and actually sniff that domestic cat feces and then contract it that way. So that's what my vet friend told me. So he says there's not very much research that's been done about it, but he will try and dig deeper and give me more on it. So Betty, when I do get that, I shall definitely divulge the information that he gives me, and that we'll try and go in a little bit more in depth about it. Maybe by this afternoon he'll have sent me some stuff on it, and on the walk we can chat about it a little bit later. So if you are watching, Betty, and if you're not watching, then we'll just do it again later. We'll do it this afternoon, which will be nice. Ah, look at that. There's an elephant, Wium. Almost drove right past him. Let me go back. There we go. Look at that. A beautiful male elephant. So, Cole, you wondering about crocodiles and elephants and whether they can hear each other because of infrasound that the elephants create? Well, I don't know. I don't think anybody has in any way studied that or been able to figure out if that is the case. I would imagine that if crocodiles can pick up infrasound, then they would be able to pick up the vibrations of an elephant. It would be probably a lot more muted in the water. So I don't know if that's maybe why they don't pick it up as much, but honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I really have not read anything about elephants and crocodiles and whether anybody has ever studied whether the two of them can pick up each other's sort of vocalizing and sound waves that they produce. So I will try and research it and try and see if there's any information about it. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has ever heard anything about it or knows about these sort of interactions between crocodiles and elephants, and if you do, it would be lovely to hear from you. So you can send through some information on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can let me know on my Facebook page and or any articles that you've got, and I'll go read up on it and try to give a much more informed opinion at a later stage. But as far as I know, I don't think anybody's even researched it, and it would be a very interesting thing to see. What is interesting is I've watched obviously interaction between crocodile and elephant, and there's been a number of reported sightings where elephants have had a situation where they've come down to waterholes and a crocodile has grabbed an elephant on the trunk. Now, maybe those crocodiles have heard those elephants coming and they've positioned themselves in a way to try and grab this food item, but for me it seems more an opportunistic thing. So they're there and they see this little calf coming and then they try and grab it. There was a sighting that was in the Sabi Sands on Lion Sands where a young elephant bull was drinking in the Sabi River and a crocodile grabbed his trunk and held on, and the elephant pulled the whole crocodile out of the water. It was really quite an amazing thing to see. I wasn't at the sighting, but I saw the photographs afterwards, and pretty incredible. So maybe the crocodile can hear them, and that's why it positioned itself in that way. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I've seen crocodiles pay no attention to elephants as well. If you go onto the Olifants River in the Kruger National Park or the Chobe River, hundreds and hundreds of elephants move around in those areas, and multiple crocodiles. And you find the crocodiles will just sit sunbathing on the banks. They don't actually pay too much attention to, even when the Ellies come down to drink. So, I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I'll have to try and research it a little bit more. Butson's cockatoo. This is a cool one. You're asking whether we ever see the closest relative of a elephant in the wilds of Africa, which, for those of you who don't know, is a hyrax. Now, a hyrax is a very small animal. It is about, I would say, I'm just trying to think, the size of a small Jack Russell. It's about as big as they get. And they are, like I say, closely related to the elephants because of their foot structure, actually, and their dental structure. And no, so we don't see them. Buttons cockatoo, sorry, I was diverting from our question there, but we don't see them in this area. They also known as a rock hyrax or tree hyrax. Now, the tree hyrax, you'll see, possibly you might see them in East Africa. I saw them in Tsavo National Park, but I can't remember if they occur in the Mara. I don't think so. I think they're more in the sort of treed, rocky areas of Tsavo and those areas. And then in South Africa, we get the rock hyrax, which is only going to be found in areas where you've got lots of rocks that they can hide in and utilize the crevices to be able to stay safe. So we just don't have the habitat or the environment for them in this area. So unfortunately, we don't see them here in the Sabi Sands. But isn't this a beautiful male? And he's so relaxed as well. He's just gently moving along, feeding as he's going, loving all this green grass that's growing. And now you can see that the sun is probably a bit bright, so he's shoved his head into a bush where you can get his eyes out of the sun. And the second reason that he's doing that is because inside there it's going to be difficult for other animals to get in there and get towards some of those grasses that are growing in amongst those trees. But for a big elephant bull, he can get his trunk in between there, and he's powerful enough to separate those branches away and get to those nice healthy green grasses that are growing there that are very, very tasty. And it's quite interesting, as he's walking, just getting the smell of fresh green grass. Now, if you ever mowed a lawn and you smell that smell, that's what it's smelling like right now. As he's walking along, he seems to be crushing bits of grass and allowing that smell to be released, and it really is quite something. So Rebecca, who is sitting in FC, is wanting to know how we tell the closest relatives of this elephant with the hyrax by looking at the feet and the teeth. Well, it's all just to do with the structures. So, well, Rebecca, I think this is going to be a very in-depth conversation, which I'll get to now because we've just seen these little warthog family that's emerged from the bush. So I'm just going to have a little look at them and chat about them for a bit. I'll go back to your question just now. Otherwise, we will address it in camp. But the female with her little piglets, look at them, aren't they sweet? Little sausages that are coming out there. Now you must be careful because this area is where Shadow is, and she would love a little piglet. So all of these little warthogs must be careful. And I think that they're going to come behind me as a little mud wallow, and it's a very popular spot. I've seen hyenas at it, I've seen impalas, I've seen rhino, buffalo, and even the Ellies bathing in that area. And so I think that's where the warthogs are going. They're slowly making their way towards that little mud wallow to have a nice roll around and get some mud on their skin and keep their skin in good condition. And look at that female. She's got very, very big tusks, or tushes should we call them, from compared to some of the other females that I've seen. In fact, it's actually a young male now that I can see clearly. You can see there's a second set of warts there. So it is a young male that is coming up now. With warthogs, to sex them, the female will have a small set of warts around the eyes, and the male will have a secondary set on the cheeks. And that secondary set is all there just to be able to protect the face and eyes when they are fighting and make sure that they don't damage. There's one of the little piglets coming out. Aren't they sweet? So these little ones would have been born around October, November. No, quite a while ago. And it's amazing how fast they grow when they're tiny. They're very, very small when they are born. It's absolutely amazing to see them. They look like these little kind of rats that are running around, and then they put on weight quite a bit. So Mohammed, you're saying Pumba? Indeed, this is Pumba. Now, the Pumba actually comes from Swahili. So when we go up into Kenya later in the year, that will be a very appropriate name for a warthog. Well, it is a name in the Swahili language. So if you say Pumba there, then people actually do really, that is the real name for them, which is very cool. Now you can see, look at how they're feeding on their knees like that. They've bent their legs and they're using their noses to dig up little roots and tubers, any little forbs that are growing. And so rather than stretching and trying to kind of reach down and, utilizing a whole bunch of energy trying to get to these grasses, just go down onto your knees and it's far more relaxed. It's almost like eating a hamburger with your elbows on the table. Now, you shouldn't really have your elbows on the table, and my mom used to shout at me about this when I was a kid all the time, but elbows are perfectly designed for hamburger eating. It's the perfect distance between the table and your mouth. This is my opinion, and this is the argument I used to try with my mom. I never used to win it, but this is how I used to try. And that it is perfectly designed for you to have your elbows on the table just to be able to eat a hamburger. So it's the same thing with the warthogs. It's a perfect design just to go onto your knees and be able to then feed off the grass and little roots. And look at the little piglets running along. Isn't that cute? These guys are really chilled. They're slowly but surely coming right out into the open. So now you can see the male on the left with those little those little warts that I was talking about, and then there's the female. You see no warts on her face, in the middle around the cheeks. The male's got tiny little ones. Those will get much bigger as he gets older. This is a young male. I reckon that is a male from her previous litter, potentially, that's with them. He's not a very old boy at all. Oh, look at that, wasn't that amazing? You see the little one just rub up against the male. Very cool. Look at the noses going, they're busy sniffing us. It is very windy today, so they've just got their noses up and just trying to pick up any scent. Aramoa, you say that you think warthogs, wildebeest, and baboons have all similar faces. Well, I suppose they've all got elongated faces, so that's maybe one of the traits, and they are all that sort of darker coloration. But for me, I'm not sure. I think the baboon's slightly different, and so is the wildebeest, in that the wildebeest has these horns that come off the top, and the baboons, their muzzle tends to come right out, whereas the warthogs just have this long kind of face. But I suppose there's some similarities. They're all not the best looking creatures out here. We definitely have prettier things, but they have character, and character is always a good thing in life. You have a bit of character, generally people are quite fond of you. So, I think we've got another elephant about to join us. Is that another elephant, Wium? Sounds like it. Straight in front of me here. Is it an elephant? Yes, it is. There we go. Now let's see what happens with warthogs and elephant. I reckon we're going to have a standoff here, and the elephant is most definitely going to win. Now, elephants can sometimes be quite naughty, particularly young males. They spot little warthogs and things like this, and just for the sake of fun, they end up chasing them. So let's see. Here he comes. Now the warthogs are standing their ground for now. And we'll see. There we go. They go trotting off. And the elephant is completely unperturbed. But look at that. Don't you just love it when they lift their tails and they run? So the reason they're doing that is because, especially the little ones, they're so little they can't see over this long grass. So they just have to be able to look for the tail of the adult, and they're able to then pick up what's going on and see where mom and dad are running and the safe path through that grass. This is also another bull elephant. This is a slightly smaller, younger male, but very common to see them together. You'll often see two males walking around together, especially younger males. They tend to spend quite a bit of time in each other's company. See, this elephant is following the exact route that the warthogs went, and you see how he's sniffing as well? Stop being naughty, don't chase the warthogs. There we go, he's listening. Good. He's being a good young lad, and he's listening and not chasing them. You see, look how he's got his ears out and how he's posturing. So he's making himself look bigger to those warthogs. Not that he needs to, because he is very large in comparison to them, but he's still posturing and making this sort of signs that he's the bigger, more dominant animal, which is really cool. Buttons, cockatoo, elephants they can be quite naughty. Like I say, you'll find that they sometimes get this, especially young males like this, they get this sort of naughty streak in them where they'll go and they'll chase other animals and they kind of play around. And I think for them it's more play than anything else. It's not like they're being ugly to the other animal, but they're just playing, and they'll run and chase, and then they stand over them and make themselves look all big. And it's much like when we in the herds and we're watching these herds of elephants, how the female the young ones will often come up and they'll have ears out, and it's almost like they're interacting with this object and they're trying to show how big they are. So I mean, they are like that, and then in times of drought they can be very bad. They can be chasing animals, particularly around water. If they come down to water, then they'll say, no, we've got, we want this water, we don't want to share it with anyone else, and they'll chase all the animals away and drink, and then when they leave, everybody's allowed to come back again. So they do indeed give other animals some trouble every now and then. Right, now we had a very interesting sighting. That was a nice little way to start closing down the morning. So we're going to go across to Tayla now and see if she's got anything interesting to share with us too.
No, sadly not. I'm full of disappointment this morning as I cannot find those zebra. I think that they are hiding away in that very, very dense block, and of course, as you know, we can't be off-roading for every single animal out here, otherwise there'd be no vegetation left on the ground for the animals to eat, which means that we would not be seeing any animals. So unfortunately we couldn't go venturing off. But I haven't seen any footprints coming out just where we left them, and they headed into that massive area. I did check around Sydney's dam. There was just some impala, so not very much just yet. However, I am going to the hyena den as we speak. We're about to go through Philemon's dip quite shortly. Goodness, that sun is bright. Let me not burn my retina. Try and regather my sight again. Woo! Right, there we go. I can see the road. No, don't look that way. I can't look at you because I'm being blinded by the sun. So we're going to quickly go and check the hyena den. Hopefully it's active. It's nice and warm. It's actually really nice. Let me do that. Let me block the sun out. Yeah, that's better. And actually, wait. Let's come with me on the journey. We're not too far away. Let's go and investigate. Let me drive a little bit quicker here. It's always nice, I think, if you come around the corner and hyenas. I don't know if anyone's been here yet. Let's go have a quick look. Yeah, we're about to turn onto the little off-road track. It's also just amazing how quickly these roads recover though at Chew, because I mean, when I first started here there was almost no track going in here. I think I'd been in here once though with a lion sighting, and the lions, I can't remember what they were doing. I think they were on a kudu kill or something, and they were hiding about here, and we used this old off-road track, but it was really, well, quite something to try and navigate around. And then since David and I chopped it up a little bit, it's much easier to navigate through. Right, we're almost there. Almost at the hyena den. Let's see. Please be hyenas. I haven't seen you guys for such a long time. Please be there. Please be there. I don't know why I keep missing them. I don't seem to have much luck with the hyenas, unfortunately. Well, this den site, at least. Okay, are you ready? Are we going to see... Oh. Hyena, please come out for us. I think I'm now dragging a tree behind the car too. But there is the den. But sadly, there are no hyenas to accompany this den site. It looks a bit quiet, so perhaps they were out a little bit earlier today and have decided they've had a suckle, and now they're going to sleep the rest of the morning and afternoon off in their little cave, their little burrow that they've got on that termite mound. I can't imagine how dirty that must be. Okay, well that's alright. That's just one of those things. We'll just have to keep trying until eventually our luck comes right with these hyenas. I shall not be put off. Craig, what was I dragging? Did I have a tree? Do I still have a tree? You're just looking over the back of the car. No. I had something. I could hear it dragging on the ground, but it seems to have fallen off now, which is good. We pick up so many things. I need to put a rake or something underneath the car, and then as I drive I can just pick up all the smaller bushes and then drop them off somewhere. That would be nice, because the elephants at the moment, They just play games with us. The amount of trees, remember I showed you the lazy man's way of course, moving a tree around off the ground when you don't want to get off of the car. But the amount of those I had to do today, I actually had to push quite a big one off of the road with a bull bar. Okay. Let's go back to quarantine and see what's happening down that way. Look. Look who's there. Driving down the road looking very, very cool. I don't know if they've been seen yet. Surely they must know that we're watching them. Now they're trying to hide behind a tree. Let's try it sneaky. We can still see you because you're in a big car. Wium has now got a blue veil on top of his head. He looks lovely with his microfiber cloth. Looks very, very flattering. Wium, that's a nice hat you've got. Hi, Tristan. The latest, Wium says that is the latest trend. It is quite nice, actually. Can you show us a different style? Can you wear that in many different ways? You can roll it up. What do you do when you roll it up, Wium? Oh, it was a scarf. Oh my goodness. Well, there you go, everybody. And all in one cloth. You can use it to... It was a present for being an uncle. To the new... What do you mean the new wildebeest? Oh, okay. So Uncle Wildy the wildebeest has got a new present. Right, let's stop being ridiculous now. Okay, off we go. Bye. I shall follow you.
Don't try and find Byron.
Oh, is he around? Apparently Byron's hiding in the grass, waiting to try and scare us. Oh, well, and speaking of Byron himself, little bird whispered in my ear now and said that we should probably go back across to him. So let's go see the final minutes of the show, how Byron is doing.
I'm doing fine, thank you, Tayla. I've been walking back towards quarantine, having a look around to see if we can't find any other little signs of creatures around. We had some Franklin alarm calling frantically earlier and went to investigate, and I think what was happening was there were males trying to mate with females, and the males were having a bit of a conflict, and they flew off and took off out of the thicket. Just quickly, here's a beautiful track just over here, and this is a very clear tortoise track. Not a very big tortoise, small one, judging by the width of the track. And there you can see how it's kicked out the feet as it's walked. And that tortoise has walked this way and disappeared into the thicket over here somewhere. A little tortoise track. Also saw some civet tracks earlier, which is very exciting. Haven't seen a civet in the Sabi Sands for quite some time, but we do get them here and we see their tracks constantly. But they're one of those nocturnal species that are difficult to find. They are a bit shy, but they are around and we see their tracks constantly. All right, and but I think that's all from us today on the bush walk. It's been wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed it. Been interesting. Nice to see all the little tracks and signs. I'll see you this afternoon on Drive from myself. And Dave is going on leave today. So goodbye, Dave. Travel safely. And let's head over to Tristan. We'll see you all later.
Well, we are busy doing our last spot of birding for the morning while Byron goes for his eggs and bacon. Byron loves a good egg and bacon, so he's very happy. And this is a Bateleur eagle that is coming over with a serious amount of speed. The wind that is blowing today is meaning that this Bateleur is moving so quickly, and Wium's having a tough time to keep it on camera. Well, good job, Wium. That was very good. That Bateleur was going very, very fast. So like I was saying, that Byron loves his egg and bacon, so he loves a good breakfast. I'm sure by now after his walk he's going to be ravenous, and that's why he's going to quickly get back to camp and try and get his active wear on. Byron is a firm fan of active wear. He has lots of banter, which is very, very good. It fits right in with the rest of the team, that's for sure. Now, it's been a tough morning in some regards. We've had a few little technical issues, so I do apologize about those, but it's still been good. We still had the Cheetah brothers, which was exciting and good to see, and there was the elephants, and Tayla had the giraffe, so there was still quite a bit out there, and we've got lots of stuff that we can try and follow up on for this afternoon, because I think that the Cheetah brothers just maybe might come south. There's the tracks for Shadow and the Cub, and so far there's no tracks that are going out, so we're going to try definitely this afternoon to head into that area and try and see if we can find any sign of Shadow and Cub. So that's really exciting. So if you want to see how we progress, then don't forget to catch us this afternoon. And there's the Hyena den that we'll also go to, so it promises to be a perfect afternoon. Also the sun will be shining. So I think that's about all we've got time for this morning. So from myself, Tayla, Byron, Megan and FC, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all with us, and I hope you've all enjoyed. Oh, baboon, hang on, let's show the baboons to finish off quickly. There's a beautiful specimen of a male on the termite mound there. Look at that, isn't that amazing? Right guys, we'll see you all this afternoon. Goodbye everybody.